This is Kelly Noack. I'm interviewing Janet Tyler at 5734 39th Street. It's June 22nd, 2012 at 1 p.m. Okay, Janet, like on Monday, can you just give us a little bit of an overview of your life, your childhood, where you grew up, how you came to this neighborhood, your family, your occupation, anything you feel like sharing?
Okay, I was born in 1952. Born in Milwaukee at Deaconess Hospital. My father and the family built the house that my dad owns, and they moved in 51 while my mom was pregnant with me. After city gave them, okay, you've done enough, you can move in. I have 3 brothers, one who has passed. My mom passed in 90. My dad's still kicking around, but he's in an assisted living facility now. I went to school in Brookfield, graduated from Brookfield Central in 1971. I went to Waukesha Tech to study accounting, then got involved in direct selling of Shackley products. I got married in 1972. That lasted about a year and a month. And I was divorced in 73. Well, 74. I've done office work, accounts receivable clerk, accounts payable clerk. Then I went to work for Pabst in 1975. My last day of work was at December 1995. I went to school to finish my accounting degree that I started in the 70s. And after the first year, I found out that the new requirement to become a CPA means you'd have to go to school to earn a master's degree. And then you can sit for your CPA exam. And I had not completed 4 years yet. So I found a job in a doctor's office and worked for Dr. Jefferson Kalimlim from 1999 until 2001 when I quit. I didn't find another job until February of 2002. Let's see. In April of 2000, my husband killed himself and our oldest granddaughter by driving himself into Lake Michigan the day they dedicated the Vietnam War Memorial downtown. So we bought the house and moved in 98. We're just getting ready to start doing things like put a new roof on, do some changes.
Yeah.
And with his death, that kind of threw everything out the window. It took almost a whole year for the VA to decide that his suicide was service-connected to his 100% post-traumatic stress disorder disability, which meant the last check they sent me, they took back, and it took me until December to get any kind of money from the VA that year. Good thing I had a job. Dr. Kalimlim was a very difficult man to work with. And there was a disagreement. I got sick on the way into work one morning, and instead of stopping at a payphone and calling his home phone number, he wasn't going to be home anyway.
Right.
I called the service, and he didn't like that I didn't call him at home. So he demoted me from full-time office manager to 2 days a week medical assistant. I asked him if I could get a reference, just saying I worked for him. And this is what I did. I said, you don't even have to tell him how you thought I worked. Just say I worked here. He says, no, I don't want anyone knowing you work for me. So I had a little hissy fit to match his. Put new patients in his rooms. He was coming back from lunch. 3 new patients in the first hour. Called his wife and says, I'm going home. You might want to send somebody here to help out. The girl had only worked for him for 6 months. I said, I don't think she can handle clinic today by herself. So I guess I can't have a hissy fit too.
You mentioned you moved into the house in 1998.
Yes.
How did you settle on Thurston Woods as the place you would move to?
The property has a 4-car garage wired with 220 wiring, has a gas heater, and enough lights for my husband to do his old car restoration work he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So he bought the garage, and I got the house because it came with it. Had nothing to do with the neighborhood. Had nothing to do with the house. He wanted the car garage so he could do, restore old cars.
Okay.
Well, when you first moved in, then how did you get to know the neighborhood? What were your first impressions?
We've had a problem in the neighborhood. And let's just say that I talked to my next door neighbor. I talked to the person that lives across from me from the alley. And that's it.
Do you have any contact with like the Agape Center or?
Well, they came and helped me and painted the house and put the roof on the house and put the new porch on
Oh yeah.
in 2009. Wells Fargo has a program where they'll come and help somebody in need. And they have volunteers that come and do the work for you, and they provide, it didn't cost me a thing. And that's how I found out that the Agape Center was there other than to go vote. And I know it's there, but I don't know, it's kind of far for me to walk,
Yeah, I suppose it is.
especially in the wintertime. So other than going to vote and a couple other things they have that I can get away over to it, I'm not doing too much over there. And I don't know if it's because of the training my husband gave us, but we do what we have to do. I live here, but that's about it. If I get a job, I'll go do that.
Okay.
Do my shopping. And I don't know, the neighbors aren't all that friendly. And the ones that are still here that were here then don't know if I'm as crazy as my husband was, in their opinion.
So do you go then outside the neighborhood to do like grocery shopping and things like that?
I go over to Silvernail and shop at Save a Lot because
Oh, okay.
the money I get from the VA, I'm lucky if I've got $10 left over at the end of the month. So I really don't go anywhere except to do my grocery shopping. If I can get one of my sons to get me there.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the things we've been seeing in our interviews is talking about safety, the safety of the neighborhood. Could you speak a little bit to that? How do you see the neighborhood?
It's gotten, there's more gunshots. There are more police sirens, fire sirens than there were when I moved in. There are little gangs around here. There are some teens and young 20-year-olds that have taken to doing whatever they do in the street. So it's not as nice as it used to be. It's not as quiet as it used to be. A lot of cars ripping and running. But that could be because the neighborhood's growing up too. The children that were here when I moved in, they're either grown and out and moved away, or the ones that have come with younger kids and are still here. The kids are now older, so I know there are more teens in the neighborhood than there were when we moved in here. There were younger kids here when I moved in. So it's constantly changing, and something I didn't know when we moved here, and it was a shock to me that someone would live in a house and pay rent for it. Why would you live in a house and not own it? And I was told that 90% of the units in this area are tenants. not owner occupied, and that shocked me. I still don't get it. I don't understand why people pay $700 a month rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't get it.
So was it was that way when you first moved in as well? Or?
Quiet. I don't know if the rents were expensive. I know we used to live on Holton Street between North Avenue and Meineke. We moved in the lower unit in 78 and then moved upstairs. When we moved in 78, the 2-bedroom apartment rented for $150. We moved upstairs, and my husband did the maintenance that didn't require a lot of money spent or a lot of stuff to be done, like when the garage needed to be rebuilt, the owner came with all that stuff. But otherwise, my husband took care of the repairs and things around here. Hold on a minute.
Oh, it's no
Sure,
problem.
sorry. I'm doing chords here.
Hello?
Let's see.
No, you don't. Oh, well. What was I saying? Oh, he did the maintenance on the building. And when we moved upstairs, we stripped the floors and refinished them and did the painting and got money off the rent. And when he sold the place in 92, I went up to $250 for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
Which I was okay with, as we pay the utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Why charge so much?
Yeah.
Now that I see what water bills are, I could see why, some of the rents are up there because water's expensive. So, we moved from Holton to here.
And so when you moved in this neighborhood, were a lot of your neighbors owners that you knew of, or were a lot of them renters?
That's what I was told when we moved in by the lady that lives next door now, Mary.
So in 1996,
Because she asked me if we were renting. I said, no, we own it. Why would you think I'm renting the house? She says, because 90% of the people around here are renting. The owners don't live here anymore. They moved out. They're not in Milwaukee anymore. This is all income property around here. She says, very few of us owners still live here. So we moved in next to the most senior member of the neighborhood by means of years lived here.
Yeah.
And
Were they, or was her husband rather, a war veteran? Was that?
he might have been a war veteran. Jose, I'm not sure. I would assume he was. Because people my age and older, most of them had been servicemen. They didn't get rid of the draft till 73. So if a man's my age or older, I'm just assuming he was in. Because they had to go in. My husband was something else. He was not friendly. In fact, I had to tell Mary, I said, if my husband's doing anything that's irritating, that you have a complaint about, don't tell him. Tell me, and I'll straighten it out. Because he had been working on his one of his cars and setting the timing on it.
Sure, yeah.
And I guess he must have been zoned in on whatever he was doing, and she came up to him and said something about the noise. And it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he turned around and very unceremoniously told her, this is the middle of the blankety blank day. Get out my face. And that's what prompted me to tell her, don't talk to him, don't even bother him. When he's out there, he's zoning out, he's doing that. Don't interrupt him. And I'll tell him what's going on and we'll work with it. He adjusted his time. He quit working out there till 2 or 3 in the morning. He'd quit at 9 o'clock. Then he started working out there in the morning at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, that didn't work either. Let's see, summer of 98, he posted flyers around that the Black Drag Racers of Milwaukee were having this big meet on this weekend down at Union Grove, and call this number to get tickets and whatever. And he finished putting together his 1956 Power Glide Chevy wagon. Now, that Chevy wagon did a quarter mile in 60 seconds.
Oh.
Okay? So, it was a fast car. My husband showed off a little bit. Every time he pulled a car out of the garage, the police came to give him a ticket. Reckless endangerment. Not just speeding, reckless endangerment. He was arrested out of the house twice by police officers coming to give him a ticket. Michael, hush it up. And to this day, I don't understand how you can get a ticket in your house if you raise your voice for disturbing the peace. When you're calling your spouse to come up out of the basement. So the police came to arrest him, give him a ticket. And after standing outside a half hour talking to the next door neighbor and the lady across the street, they decided to come over and give him his ticket. I'd gotten tired of waiting for the cops to come from the squad car parked 30 feet away to the door, because they were out there talking to the neighborhood, and click. And I went downstairs to change a load of wash around. I didn't hear him call me. By the time I came up the steps, and all I did was, I didn't put a new load in, I just threw the next load in the dryer. I come up walking up the steps, and they've got him in handcuffs, and the cops going through his wallet. And he got a ticket for disturbing the peace. He was in pajama bottoms, bare feet, and they walked him out the door and took him to jail. Didn't even let him put shoes on. Because he called my name and raised his voice.
Do you feel like there's something that maybe was racially about that?
Definitely. The Milwaukee Police Department is a racist police department. And some of the black officers are worse than the white officers. If you have a record and you are black or Hispanic, anything goes with the police. They will automatically say they feared for their life. And I've seen it. Granted, there may be times when they are in fear of their life, but you don't come into a man's house and put him in handcuffs because he raises his voice to call his wife from the basement. Just don't do that. That's not disturbing the peace. So, they did that the second. Okay, that happened the second year in 99. The first year, I was up here and he didn't have to holler for me, but he didn't want to be arrested without somebody seeing what was going on. So that kind of set up the problem between us and the lady next door.
Okay. Can I return to the subject of your kids?
Okay.
When you moved into the neighborhood, about how old were they?
Let's see, William was 19. Michael was born in 86, so that was 96, 10, Michael was 12 and Chris was 10.
Did they go to school in the area here, or did they go outside?
Chris went to, I said Hawthorne Glen over there off of Good Hope and Green Tree or whatever that is over there.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go see what he's crying about.
No problem.
Can you think of anything else that we need to touch on? We can talk about kids and education in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
We could touch on religion, maybe.
Religion, and then maybe push the race thing just a little further. No?
She seems very uncomfortable, especially to talking about her husband. I would.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, yeah, agreed.
Oops, sorry guys. Watch out for the cord.
Okay, just step over.
Yep. Thank
There
you.
you are. Good job.
Step over the corner trees.
Thank you. Just gonna unplug the scanner for while we don't need it. And just see somebody tripping over it and face
Yeah,
painting. It's
no problem.
terrible. Okay. Well, we were just talking about education, schools in the area. He said,
The youngest went over to Hawthorne, and then he went to Bell.
Mhm.
And then he went to Custer. And then he finished up at MATC, because after his dad died, he just kind of quit participating in school. He went every day,
oh,
participated in class he wanted to. But if he wasn't interested or if he was tired or whatever, he'd sleep at school. He never skipped a day of school. But he just didn't do anything. That's my aggressive, passive-aggressive action of my youngest. Let's see. Michael went from Palmer to Lincoln Middle School. Then he went to Pulaski. And William started out, let's see, he went to Garfield, he went to Roosevelt. And when we were here, he went to Pius. I think for a hot semester. And then he quit school.
Okay.
He said, I'm not riding no 2 hours a day out of school. F it.
So
And when they get that age, there really isn't anything you can do because it's against a lot of time up and throw them in a room or beat the hell out of them or, you know, whatever. If they refuse to, there's really not a whole lot you can do.
Sure. Was there any? So you mentioned when you were here that one of your children went to Pius.
At Pulaski.
Pulaski. Okay. While living here, they were bused to Pulaski on the south side? Is that
No,
right?
he was given bus tickets to ride the city bus because he was a high school student. He's supposed to
Okay.
be a big boy and can get on the city bus.
Okay.
But Mama was a little messed up after Daddy died.
Sure.
And he had the conversation skills his daddy did. So since I was only working about a mile away from Pulaski, he says, "Ma, just drop me off." I had to be to work at 8 o'clock. He had to be to school at 8 o'clock, you know.
Smart guy.
Very intelligent. He would not have been diagnosed as attention deficit hyperactive if he didn't have almost genius IQ, because you've got to be an almost genius or genius to have it. So he's been a challenge. And then having a husband that was post-traumatic stress disorder and a male chauvinist and, you know, old school taught and old school acting. It's never been boring. Wish there was some boring once in a while, but always
Right.
something jumping off.
Well, can I ask, are you religious at all? Do you attend church in the neighborhood or anything?
No.
No? Okay. That's another one of the questions we're asking people just to get a feel for their...
And it's kind of, well, I kind of stopped going after I hit 20 and didn't have to go anymore.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I never really went back because I didn't feel the need for it. I tried the route getting the kids to go to church and getting up with them on Sundays, but when you're working 6 and 7 days a week, and it was just easier not to go.
Of course.
And I disagree too much with what the Lutherans are telling me and the Methodists are telling me. And even though I agree a lot with the Catholics, they're just a little too messed up. And I can't be in a room with more than 10 people I don't know without my back to the wall. So going to church really isn't a fun thing for me to do.
Sure.
That could be why I don't really go out and do too much anything else either. If I don't know everybody there, I'm not going.
Let's see. Do you have any more questions that you can think of?
Well, one thing that we've been doing is kind of coming back towards the end and just making sure we have a good feeling for you and your family. And I don't know if you want to just tell us maybe a little bit more about your childhood in Brookfield or anything about your parents that might help us understand you and your life that brought you here.
My dad was a sheet metal worker. Retired when he was 65. Who's ringing the doorbell?
I'm upstairs. It's not
I was a Girl Scout from the 2nd grade through senior year. Went to Mexico with the Girl Scouts.
Oh, yeah.
It's Keith.
It's who? Excuse me.
No problem.
Oh. My new grandson's coming.
Oh, goodness. Well, I guess we can
And
we
wrap
can
it up.
finish up here then. All right?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.